No, you just said you need a few minutes to show me a new gimmick.
Yeah. It's not a new gimmick. It's a new format of things I want to talk to you about. So I'm going to give you medical hot takes, my hot takes, and you have to guess or decide if they're true or false. I have 20 of these.
Right. Okay.
All right.
So
And
yeah,
some of them are a little tricky because they're going to be gray answers. So sort of yes, sort of no. But I'm going to want to hear your reasoning. So are you ready to start?
let's go.
All right. First, barefoot shoes fix flat feet.
It's a gray, right? Not on concrete or on artificial floors, but on natural grounds, it trains your foot muscles. So,
That's exactly true. The strength gains occur in the foot wearing barefoot shoes. However, there's very limited evidence that flat foot shoes can actually, or barefoot shoes, regrow your arch, but it strengthens the muscle underneath of the feet. So nice. I give that one for one. All right. Here's number two. Ready?
yeah, let's
Orthotics.
go.
Orthotics weaken your feet.
Yeah, it's a gray again. Let's put it that way. Not ours. Like we're very focused on maintaining the strength, even building it by giving impulse. But there's a lot of passive insoles, like the rigid ones, that do not accommodate to your foot load or to muscles. So yeah, if you take the rigid ones, just the passive insoles, yeah, probably. Our stimulating effect, it's the contrast.
You're exactly right again. In fact, there was a paper in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy that came out in 2011 that said the exact same thing. If insoles are far too rigid, it does cause some muscle atrophy. Um, versus softer insoles, there's no evidence that they cause muscle weakening. In fact, there
Okay.
was some
Well,
evidence that they
send me
cause.
that.
Yeah, I
Right.
will. I will. All right. 10,000 steps a day is mandatory for living longer.
Mandatory for living
Let
longer.
me
I mean,
say it
there's a
again.
lot.
Let me say it again. 10,000 steps a day will make you live longer.
It depends on where you came from. You came from 20,000? No.
Just in
You came from
isolation, in
zero?
isolation, in isolation. Actually, your answer, that's
Look,
actually not totally true. So of course, it's a area answer, but I will explain the gray. So the 10,000 steps a day wasn't based on any scientific fact. It's just that 10,000 is an easy number to remember and it's an achievable goal. But several studies have investigated what the minimum number of steps you need per day to live longer. And they found that after 7,500 steps, there's no more mortality benefit. So if you do more than 7,500 steps a day, there's no mortality benefit, but there's obviously more health benefits that, feeling better, better lung capacity, things like this, but not actually living longer than 7,500 steps.
didn't you tell me once that there's a direct correlation between the how long you live and the circumference of your thigh muscle?
No, I said that there's a direct correlation between big toe flexibility.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
true. Okay.
yeah. Not necessarily causative, but it's correlated.
Okay.
All right. Um, all right. Do bad shoes cause knee pain?
Yeah, definitely. And if you come up with a study that says different, I can prove like on a daily basis that it's definitely true.
Yes, no, it's totally true. I think people don't always think about, especially how soft the sole on their shoe is and how that causes so much instability that goes into the ankle, and then that gets projected up to the knee. And actually, just to kind of give a demonstration of it, uh, here's a stick. And if you just change the bottom stability a little bit, the top moves a huge amount. So I'm going to move maybe an inch on the bottom and look how much the top moves. And the same thing is happening with your ankle and knee.
Of course. Yeah.
That,
Absolutely. Makes
these aren't super challenging. I'm not trying to trick you. Okay.
If I don't understand them, I pretend to, because of the lack of knowledge, lack of understanding for English.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Next, toe spacers fix bunions.
Mate, look, they certainly don't fix it, but they can like treat the symptom somehow. But they certainly don't fix the cause of it. Is another. It's good to wear them. I like to wear them once in a while, but it doesn't fix bunions.
You're 100% right. In fact, there was a big systematic review that looked at many different studies with people wearing toe spacers, and in none of the studies was the actual deformity fixed, but in almost all the studies, patients reported increased comfort. So good to wear to help with the symptoms. It's not going to fix the actual deformity or the underlying cause.
Great.
All right. Um, all
Do you
right.
have something challenging?
You want something challenging, huh? All right. Um, all right. So people run in different ways. You can strike on the forefoot or people land on their heels. What causes more injury?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Uh, what causes more injury?
Or what is associated with higher injury rates?
Well, I know that some runners recommend like that the forefoot gait because it's more a bounce, it's more a cushioning effect. But I always think the heel bone is thick for a reason. So I think the forefoot runners get injured more.
So the common myth is that forefoot running is better, right? Um,
Yeah, exactly.
because of what runners say, and I've heard this many times as well. But there was a study in the Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise Journal that came out in 2017 that showed there's no difference in injury rate between forefoot and hindfoot striking patterns. That said,
Interesting.
I believe they only analyzed between 200 and 500 patients. So on a larger sample, they may be able to see a little bit more signal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
A couple more. All right. Arch height should determine your shoe choice.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a flat foot and you have a shoe with a narrow mid part, it will collapse even more. So definitely. I mean, it's always a good idea to go with a wider shoe, but if you got flat feet, it's even more necessary.
Yeah, that one was an easier one. I'm looking for some harder things I have for you. Okay. True or false? Stretching before running prevents injury.
False.
You knew that only
More.
because I set you up to know that it was a trick question.
No, it's. I'm doing sport. What do you say? Doing sport, making sport. I'm sportive active whenever I was a child, and
We understand.
even within my lifespan, it changed. So in the beginning, they said if you stretch, hold for at least 2 minutes. Then they said make it dynamically. So I think to warm up is a good idea. Stretching, and especially, and that's very interesting, you can test it yourself. If you try to reach your toes, and you might not be able to, squeeze your fist between your knees and try then again. You will come lower. So it's also programming in your brain. So under narcosis, everyone is very flexible, just because the brain doesn't prevent from certain movement ranges.
That is so cool. I am not very flexible, so I will give that a try. All right, Dominic, you've done very well. One more, and then I'll let you leave to get out of my evil test. All right. Okay. Some of these are too easy for you. Okay. All right. Maximizing the cushioning of the sole of the shoe prevents injuries.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, and I know this one is easy, but I think a lot of people suspect that the thicker the sole, the more cushioning, therefore not as many injuries. And maybe you could speak to why that isn't the best logic.
And that's my go-to argument always. If you cushion too much, cushion is always instability, always. And if you cushion too much, all your bone structures, tendon, ligaments, they degenerate. They're not able to support your foot anymore. So over time, I'm pretty sure it will increase injuries.
That's right.
Not only, yeah.
And there's actually a paper that came out in the American Journal of Sports Medicine in 2018 that supported exactly what you said. And I think once you start to think about it, it does make sense. There's a balance that needs to happen between support and cushioning. And these super, super thick soles offer so much cushioning that they compromise your support structure. And you can imagine that if you're stepping down, you're not it's not a perfectly flat surface that your bottom of your foot is. There's contours to it. And it's taking extra kind of depressions into that sole that normally you wouldn't have with a more supportive surface. And then just like the same kind of analogy of moving the bottom of the foot a little bit, causing a lot of instability up top, this is what happens with really, really soft shoes. So just something to consider. And yeah, I thank you for playing my game. I hope it wasn't a total torture.
No, it was fun. It was fun.
All right. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and talk to you next week.
Thanks, Zach. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye.